All right, here's your 800-word expansion of key point 1, written in a conversational, speech-like style, as if Matthew Hussey himself were delivering it, flowing naturally and ending with an impactful closing line. You know what's fascinating about human connection? It's not just the grand gestures, the expensive dinners, or the romantic getaways that deepen a bond. More often than not, it's the tiny moments, the seemingly insignificant things that carve themselves into someone's mind and heart. And one of the most powerful moments you have in any day, one you probably don't even think twice about, is the moment right before sleep. Now, why is that moment so powerful? Because whatever someone hears or feels right before they close their eyes, it doesn't just vanish into thin air. It sits there. It lingers. It gets tucked into the soft, subconscious part of their mind where emotions live, and when they drift off to sleep, their brain processes it over and over again, which means you can turn those last words of the night into something unforgettable, something that keeps you in their head all week without you having to chase them for attention. Think about it. How many nights do you just end a conversation with "good night," or "sleep well," or maybe even nothing at all? It's polite. It's functional. But it's also forgettable. There's nothing in those words that makes someone feel anything. There's nothing that leaves a mark. But imagine if, instead of those predictable, neutral words, you gave them something they couldn't shake. Something that made them smile to themselves in the dark. Something that made them think, "God, I want more of that." And this isn't about being cheesy or over the top. It's not about writing them a bedtime novel every night. It's about understanding the psychology of emotional primacy, the idea that the last emotional note someone feels from you becomes the note they hum in their head when you're not around. If you want someone thinking about you, craving your presence, anticipating the next time they'll hear your voice, you've got to plant that seed right before they sleep. Here's the beauty of this: the bar is so low. Most people aren't intentional with their last words of the day, so when you are, you stand out immediately. That's when they start replaying your voice in their mind. That's when they start associating nighttime with you. You're creating a habit in their emotions. They begin to feel like there isn't complete without that final moment with you. But you have to understand something. What you say right before sleep doesn't just land in their head. It lands in their heart. And when it's done right, it doesn't feel like you're trying to get them to think about you. It just feels like you're letting them into a little private world only the two of you share. That's what creates intimacy. Not just closeness, but the kind of intimacy where they feel safe, desired, and curious about you all at the same time. And there's another reason this works nighttime is when people are most vulnerable. During the day, our guard is up. We're busy, distracted, in work mode, in problem-solving mode. But at night, when the lights are off and the world gets quiet, the armor comes down. People are more receptive, more open to emotion. If you slip in at that moment with something tender, playful, or intriguing, it slips past their logical mind and goes straight into the emotional one. That's why the things you say right before sleep can have 10 times the impact of what you say at lunch. Now, here's where it gets really fun. You can make this moment work for you whether you're in the same bed, across town, or even across the world. If you're in the same space, your tone, your touch, and your words all work together to create that lasting moment. If you're apart, a voice note, a text, or even a short call can do the trick. The key is to be consistent enough that they start associating you with the emotional high they feel before falling asleep. But here's what separates this from just saying something nice. You want to make sure your last words don't just express affection, they spark something. They should either make them feel deeply appreciated, effortlessly desired, or slightly curious in a way that they want to lean in for more. That's what makes them not just think about you in that moment, but wake up the next day still feeling it. This isn't about performing or crafting the perfect thing to say. It's about tuning into your genuine feelings and expressing them in a way that makes the other person feel seen. If you fake it, they'll feel it. But if it's real, if it's grounded in how you honestly see them, then that moment before sleep becomes the emotional highlight of their day. And when you're someone's emotional highlight, you're also the person they're going to chase. So before you close your eyes tonight, before you send that last message or roll over and drift off, ask yourself, what do I want them to fall asleep thinking about? Because that thought, that feeling, is what's going to be playing in their mind until the sun comes up. And if you choose that moment with care, you won't have to wonder if they're thinking about you tomorrow. You'll know they are. And that's how one sentence can keep you in his head all week long. Do you want me to also write the just key point 2000s in the exact same style so the speech flows perfectly? Here's your 800-word expansion of key point 2 in the same conversational, emotionally charged speech style. When you say something to someone, you're not just passing along information. You're creating an emotional association. Every interaction you have with him, whether it's a 2-hour conversation or a 30-second exchange, leaves behind a trace in his emotional memory. Over time, those traces form a pattern, and that pattern becomes how he feels about you. And here's the thing, what you say before sleep has the potential to be the strongest emotional anchor you could ever plant. Think of emotional anchoring like this. It's the invisible connection between a moment and the feeling it triggers. If every time someone thinks of you, they feel warm, safe, appreciated, or desired, that feeling becomes automatic. They don't even have to consciously analyze it. They just feel it. And at night, right before sleep, their brain is like soft clay. It's more impressionable, more receptive to emotional cues. That's your chance to anchor yourself into the part of him that responds to feelings, not logic. Let's be real, people are constantly leaving emotional anchors with each other, but most of them are unintentional. Maybe you've experienced this: someone texts you late at night and their words make you feel stressed, annoyed, or drained. Even if you like them, your brain starts associating nighttime with tension, and you subconsciously want to avoid them. The opposite is also true. If you're the person who consistently leaves him ending the day feeling valued, playful, or deeply connected, he'll begin to crave that end of day exchange with you. And it doesn't have to be some grand, over-thought production. This isn't about manufacturing fake romance. It's about choosing your words so they carry a feeling he can't ignore. Let's say you send a quick message before bed. You could write "good night" and leave it at that. It's fine, it's polite, but it's emotionally neutral. Now imagine instead you write, "I love knowing I'm the last person you hear from tonight." That's not just words. That's a feeling. It subtly tells him he matters to you, and it puts an image in his head of you being the one closing out his day. When you do this enough, you create a rhythm. He starts to anticipate that moment with you, and that's when the real magic happens. When his brain starts releasing dopamine before he even reads your message, simply because his body has learned to associate nighttime with your attention. That's what makes him check his phone faster. That's what makes him smile when your name lights up his screen. It's worth pointing out, Emotional anchoring works because it's about him, not just you. You're not just throwing out random flirty lines for the sake of being memorable. You're tuning into what Ahiv needs to hear to feel seen, appreciated, or understood. Maybe he's had a long day and feels drained. Your words can be the thing that restores him before sleep. Maybe he's feeling proud of something he accomplished. Your words can be the thing that amplifies that pride. You're meeting him emotionally where he is, but in a way that links that good feeling to you. Now, I can already hear someone thinking, but won't this feel manipulative if I'm intentionally creating an anchor? The answer is no, because it's not about tricking him into liking you. It's about being intentional with the care you already feel for him. Emotional anchoring happens whether you mean it to or not, so you might as well make it work in your favor. There's also a subtlety to this. You don't want your last words of the night to always be the same exact sentence. That can make it feel robotic. Instead, keep the emotional, themey, consistent, while letting the actual words shift and adapt to the moment. One night it might be affectionate. I wish I could fall asleep next to you tonight. Another night it might be playful. Don't dream about me too much, okay? Actually dream about me as much as you want. And some nights it might be deeply supportive. I'm proud of you. I hope you go to bed knowing how much you matter. The point is, each one leaves him with a strong, positive emotion, whether that's desire, curiosity, warmth, or pride. You're not just ending a conversation, you're creating an emotional bookmark he'll want to revisit. And when you've done it right, he'll start to realize his day feels incomplete without that bookmark. That's when he begins reaching for you. Not because you're chasing him, but because you've become the one thing he doesn't want to go without. Here's the part people underestimate. Once an emotional anchor is set, it's incredibly hard to replace. If you're the one who consistently ends his day on a high note, another person has to work twice as hard to compete with the way you make him feel. That's the hidden power in this. You're not just being sweet, you're creating a place in his emotional landscape that no one else can easily fill. So, the next time you find yourself about to say good night, without thinking, pause. Ask yourself, what feeling do I want him to take to bed with him tonight? Then give him words that will carry that feeling straight into his dreams. Because once he starts associating the comfort of sleep with the comfort of you, you won't need to chase him. He'll be chasing the feeling you give him. 2. Do you want me to go ahead and expand? Key point 3, in the same voice and style, so the speech keeps its momentum. Here's your Air's 800-word expansion of key point 3, keeping it seamless, conversational, and aligned with the flow of the previous points. There's a reason I call this the principle of soft intrigue. It's that delicate balance between giving someone enough to feel connected to you, but leaving just enough unsaid that they can't stop wondering about you. Most people, without realizing it, kill intrigue by either giving too much too soon or giving nothing at all. Soft intrigue is that sweet spot where your words are warm enough to make him feel drawn in, but also mysterious enough to make him lean forward and want more. And here's the interesting thing. This doesn't mean you have to play games or be manipulative. In fact, it works best when it's authentic. It's about allowing a little space in your communication so his mind has something to play with after the conversation ends. When you say something intriguing right before sleep, you're basically putting a cliffhanger in his head. And because it's happening at night, that thought doesn't get interrupted by all the distractions of the day. It lingers. It grows. Think of it like watching your favorite show. The best episodes always end with a moment that leaves you thinking, "Oh my God, I have to see what happens next." That's exactly how you want him to feel about you. Not because you're withholding affection, but because you're wrapping affection in curiosity. If you hand someone a beautifully wrapped gift, but you don't let them open it right away, their mind becomes obsessed with what's inside. So how does this look in real life? Let's say you're about to say good night. You could say something simple like, "Sleep well." That's nice, but it's complete. It gives his brain closure. Now imagine instead you say, "Remind me to tell you what I was thinking about earlier. I have a feeling you'll like it." You've just planted a seed. His mind starts running. What was she thinking about? Why will I like it? Was it about me? Was it something flirty? Something exciting? And because he's going to bed with that thought in his head, you've just ensured that you're in his dreams without even trying. The beauty of soft intrigue is that it makes him participate in the connection. If you tell someone everything, they're a passive receiver. If you tell them just enough, they become an active participant. They start filling in the blanks themselves. And here's the fun part. What they imagine is often even better than what you could have said outright. Our brains are wired to seek completion, and when we can't get it immediately, we keep coming back for more. It's also worth noting, soft intrigue doesn't always have to be romantic or suggestive. Sometimes it can be playful. You could say, "I found out something today that totally made me think of you. I'll tell you tomorrow." Or it could be emotional. "I just realized something about us that made me smile. I'll tell you later." You're not lying. You're not fabricating drama. You're simply choosing to stagger the reveal of your thoughts, so there's an ongoing thread between you that he can't help but follow. And this works even more powerfully when it's paired with genuine warmth. Intrigue without warmth feels cold. It makes someone feel kept at a distance. But when you pair it with a sincere compliment, a bit of vulnerability, or an affectionate tone, it becomes irresistible. He feels cared for, but he also feels challenged. That's a rare and addictive combination. I know some people worry, but won't he get frustrated if I don't tell him everything right away? No. If you do it right, he'll be energized by it. Frustration comes when someone withholds affection. Intrigue works when you give affection but hold back just enough detail to spark curiosity. It's the emotional equivalent of giving someone a taste of a dessert they can't wait to order next time. There's also a psychological reason this is so effective at night. Right before sleep, our minds are more imaginative. We're more prone to daydreaming, replaying moments, and imagining scenarios. When you drop a small but meaningful hint during this time, you're not just giving him something to think about. You're giving him something to feel. That's the difference. Thoughts fade, feelings stick, and feelings attach to mystery. Those are the ones that echo in his mind long after he wakes up. Soft intrigue also signals something else about you: self-assurance. It shows that you're comfortable, not rushing to fill every silence, not dumping every thought, not trying to prove your worth all at once. You're secure enough to let the connection breathe, to let him come to you, to let the moment play out. That in itself is magnetic. People chase what they feel they can't fully pin down. And when you carry that balance of openness and mystery, you become someone he wants to understand more deeply. So the next time you're talking before bed, resist the urge to wrap everything up in a neat bow. Leave one ribbon untied. Give him a reason to think about you after the conversation ends. Let your last words be the spark that keeps the fire glowing all week long. Because when you master soft intrigue, You're not just in his thoughts for a moment. You're the thought he can't shake. Do you want me to go ahead and expand especially key point 4 Sedge in the same way so your speech builds momentum? Here's your 800-word expansion of key point 4, keeping the same voice tone and flow as before. Quote 2. There's something deeply human about wanting to feel needed, not in a desperate, dependent way, but in the sense that we play an important role in someone's life. Every man, on some level, carries what I call the hero instinct. It's that pull to step up, to protect, to be valued for what he can bring to the table. When you know how to speak to that instinct, especially in those quiet, intimate moments before sleep, you awaken a part of him that naturally wants to draw closer to you. Now, a lot of people misunderstand what this means. They hear hero instinct and think it's about inflating his ego or constantly praising him. It's not about showering him with empty compliments or pretending he's flawless. It's about letting him feel that his presence in your life makes a difference, that he matters, that he adds something meaningful that no one else can. Think about it. Most men go through their day solving problems, making decisions, handling responsibilities, but they rarely get told that what they do actually impacts someone on an emotional level. You can change that in one sentence before bed. You can be the person who makes him feel not just noticed, but truly valued. Maybe it's as simple as saying, "I love knowing you're in my corner." Or, "It makes me feel safe just hearing your voice before I go to sleep." Those words are small, but they hit something deep because they connect his actions, or even just his presence, to your sense of well-being. The timing here is crucial. During the day, he's in logic mode. He's checking tasks off, dealing with work, managing his time. But at night, when the world quiets down, his emotional side has more room to breathe. When you place a genuine acknowledgement right before he sleeps, it's like putting a warm hand on his heart. He goes to bed feeling that he's not just existing in your life, he's enhancing it. And that's a powerful motivator for him to keep showing up for you. And this doesn't mean you're putting him on a pedestal. You're not making the connection about him being above you in any way. You're making it about partnership, about the fact that his contributions matter, and you see them. People chase what makes them feel purposeful, and when you become the person who consistently brings out that purpose in him, you stop having to wonder if he'll stick around. He'll want to be near you because you make him feel alive in a way that few people do. It can be as subtle as linking something he's done to how it makes you feel. For example, instead of just saying, "Good night," you might say, "I've been smiling since our conversation earlier. I just wanted you to know that." That's not only giving him credit for impacting your mood, it's giving him proof that his presence creates an emotional ripple effect in your life. And once a man feels that his presence makes your life better, he's going to want to keep showing up in that role. Here's the other side of this. Speaking to his hero instinct also keeps the attraction dynamic healthy. If all you do is pull away to create interest, you risk making him feel irrelevant. If all you do is pour affection without giving him the chance to contribute, you risk making him feel unnecessary. But when you give him space, and opportunities to feel like he's making an impact, you're feeding both the intrigue and the connection. You don't have to engineer these moments either. They happen naturally when you pay attention to the ways he adds value to your life and simply acknowledge them. Maybe he made you laugh today. Maybe he encouraged you when you were stressed. Maybe he just listened while you vented. These things may feel small to him, but they're opportunities for you to tie his actions to the way you feel. And I want to be clear, This isn't about pretending you need rescuing. Strong, independent people still want to feel cherished and still cherish others. The hero instinct isn't about helplessness. It's about significance. It's about showing him that in the story of your life, he's not just an extra in the background. He's a character who shapes the plot in a way that matters. When you understand this, your words before bed stop being just pleasantries and start becoming powerful reminders of his role in your life. And when a man feels both desired and needed, not in a clingy way, but in a way that makes him feel like he's adding real value. He doesn't just want to be around you for now. He wants to be around you for the long haul. So tonight, think about what you can say that will make him close his eyes with that subtle rush of pride, that quiet smile that says, "I'm exactly where I want to be." Because when you tap into that part of him, he won't just chase you this week. He'll keep chasing you for as long as you let him. 2. Do you want me to now expand key point 5 by so it flows perfectly into the more balanced, affection with space, dynamic? Here's your 800-word expansions of key point 5 written to flow naturally from the previous parts of your speech. 2. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they want someone to chase them is thinking they have to either smother them with attention or pull away completely. They fall into this all or nothing rhythm. Either they're giving constant affection, flooding the connection with so much warmth that there's no space left for curiosity, or they're creating such a big gap that the other person feels shut out. The truth is, the most magnetic connections exist in the space between those two extremes. Balancing affection with space isn't just a dating strategy. It's how you keep a relationship alive over time. Too much affection without any room to breathe can make someone feel like there's nothing left to discover. Too much space without enough warmth can make them feel unwanted. The sweet spot is where they feel cared for, valued, and desired, but still a little hungry for more. That's why those moments before sleep are so important. You can use them to give him the kind of affection that makes him feel close to you, while still leaving him with the space to think about you when you're not there. For example, if you text him something heartfelt before bed, you don't have to follow it up with a dozen more messages or a late night call. You give him that one powerful sentence and then let it sit. That space you leave afterward is part of the magic. It allows your words to echo in his mind instead of being drowned out by more noise. This is where a lot of people go wrong. They confuse showing interest with constant communication. But interest isn't measured by how much you talk. It's measured by the impact of the moments you share. When you give him something emotionally rich and then give him time to process it, you're letting him be the one who takes the next step. And that's what makes him chase. The balance is also about the kind of energy you bring. Affection that's given from a place of confidence feels very different from affection that comes from fear of losing someone. When your affection is confident, it's warm but not needy. It's, "I enjoy giving this to you," not, "I hope this makes you stay." He can feel the difference instantly. Confident affection invites someone in. It doesn't cling to them. Space, on the other hand, is not about being cold or distant. It's about showing that you have a full, vibrant life outside of him. When you let him feel your affection and then step back into your own world, your friends, your passions, your goals, you remind him that being close to you is a privilege, not something he can take for granted. That contrast between intimacy and independence is incredibly attractive because it shows you're with him because you choose to be, not because you have nothing else. This rhythm of give and pause also keeps the relationship feeling fresh. Think about it. If someone is constantly available, constantly pouring attention on you, you stop noticing it after a while. But if they give you a moment that makes you feel deeply connected, and then you go a little while without hearing from them, you start to look forward to that next interaction. The absence makes the affection feel more valuable when it comes again. It's a lot like music. If every note is played at the same volume and pace, the song gets boring fast. What makes a song captivating is the mix of intensity and quiet, the build up and the pause. Affection and space work the same way. You create a melody in his emotions by knowing when to lean in and when to pull back just enough for him to miss you. Of course, the key is intention. If you're giving space out of fear, resentment, or as a punishment, it stops being attractive. He feels that energy. The space has to come from a place of trust in yourself and the connection. That's when it becomes an invitation instead of a wall. And here's what's beautiful. When you get this balance right, you don't have to worry about him losing interest. The affection draws him close, the space gives him room to want more, and the cycle repeats naturally. You're not chasing him, you're giving him a reason to keep coming toward you. So tonight, when you think about what to say before sleep, remember, it's not just the words that matter. It's also the silence that follows. Give him something beautiful to hold on to, and then give him the space to come find you again. Because it's in that space between affection and absence where desire truly grows. Ted, do you want me to now expand key point 66? So the speech closes with a strong, actionable takeaway. Here's your 800-word expansion of key point 6, written in the same natural, confident, and emotionally engaging style. P2. When you think about all the things we've talked about so far, the power of your last words before sleep, emotional anchoring, soft intrigue, speaking to his hero instinct, and balancing affection with space, it all comes down to this final step, making it your own. You can understand every principle in the world, but if it doesn't feel natural when you do it, it won't land the way you want it to. That's why I want you to have your own signature. Before sleep. Line. Something that feels so authentically you that whenever he hears it, he instantly thinks of you and no one else. Now, I'm not saying you have to come up with one fixed sentence that you repeat every single night like a script. That would kill the magic. What I'm talking about is a unique tone, style, or flavor to your nighttime words that's consistent enough to be recognizably yours, but flexible enough to fit different moods. It's the emotional fingerprint you leave behind. Think about the people in your life you feel closest to. There's probably something specific about the way they say goodbye to you, or the way they start a conversation, or even a phrase they use that no one else does. That's what I want you to create here, a small ritual in your connection with him that belongs only to the two of you. It could be playful. Maybe you have a teasing way of telling him to dream about you. Maybe you drop a hint about something you'll tell him tomorrow. Maybe you give him a nickname you only use at night. Or it could be romantic, something simple but heartfelt that reinforces how you feel about him in a way that never gets old. The point isn't the exact words, it's the feeling they carry and the consistency with which you deliver them. When you do this right, you create an emotional shortcut in his brain. The moment he hears or reads your signature, his mind instantly recalls every other time you've said it. And with it, all the feelings from those moments. It's a little like hearing the opening notes of a favorite song. Before the melody even kicks in, you're already feeling the emotions that song brings. Your signature line can have the same effect. This is also where creativity comes in. Don't be afraid to tailor it to your shared experiences. If you have an inside joke, weave that into your goodnight. If there's a memory you both love, hint at it. If there's something you want him to look forward to, drop it in. That's how you make your line not just personal, but deeply anchored in the unique story you share together. And here's the thing. Over time, this becomes more than just a line. It becomes part of your relationship's rhythm. He'll start to look effort for it, expect it, maybe even feel a little incomplete if it's not there. That's when you know you've created something powerful. When it's no longer just about what you're saying, but about the emotional ritual you've built together. The beauty of having your own signature before sleep line is that it works on so many levels. It can be sweet enough to anchor positive emotions, intriguing enough to keep you on his mind, affirming enough to make him feel valued, and personal enough that no one else could replicate it. It's affection, intrigue, and connection all wrapped into one simple nightly moment. Of course, it's not about forcing it every night. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is surprise him with it after a few nights without it. That unpredictability keeps it exciting. It's like his favorite dessert. Delicious when it's there, but even more appreciated when it's not every single night. And I'll tell you something. When you have your own unique way of closing the day with him, you're doing more than just making him smile before bed. You're creating a thread that ties your days together. Even if you're apart, even if you've had a busy day with barely any time to talk, that one little moment reminds him, we're still connected. It's small, but small is powerful when it's done with intention. So don't just end your nights with good night or talk tomorrow. That's what everyone else says. Instead, give him something that's yours, something that makes him think of you as he falls asleep and makes him want to wake up to you again. Because when your last words of the night are unforgettable, so are you.